As his tenure with the Beatles drew to a close, George Harrison was no longer content to remain the quiet figure at the edge of the world's biggest band. The oft-repeated story casts him as the most frustrated cog in an almost perfectly tuned pop machine, a gifted songwriter forced to watch from the sidelines while the creative axis of Paul McCartney and John Lennon steered the ship. Session after session, album after album, the familiar pattern seemed to play out. Lennon-McCartney at the helm, Harrison allotted a smaller creative space in which to operate. It is a story that has endured because it carries a certain dramatic symmetry, the quiet mystic overshadowed by two prolific titans. It's no surprise that sympathy often flowed toward the increasingly spiritual guitarist. By the late 1960s, Harrison's songwriting abilities exploded at a startling pace. He stockpiled song after song, many of which would later form his monumental solo statement, "All Things Must Pass." Several of those compositions were reportedly rejected or sidelined during Beatles sessions, sometimes barely auditioned. Such recollections, combined with the increasingly brittle mood around the band, have encouraged the idea that Harrison had become difficult, resentful, even combative in the group's final chapter. Yet that story is only half true. Yes, more of Harrison's songs were turned down, but largely because he was writing far more. The sheer volume of his work collided with a long-established creative hierarchy. Where he once contributed 1 or 2 songs per album, by 1968-69, he possessed material that could rival his bandmates in both quantity and quality. His frustrations stemmed less from exclusion than from confidence. He believed, rightly, that his songs deserved to stand alongside the Lennon-McCartney canon. As his craft sharpened, his patience for being treated as a junior partner wore thin. Still, it's wrong to think Harrison closed the Beatles chapter creatively stifled. Quite the opposite. His final contributions are among the most celebrated. On Abbey Road, he enjoyed the brightest spotlight of his career within the band. Something and Here Comes the Sun emerged not as fillers but as pillars. Something became one of the most covered songs ever written, an expression of love even championed by Frank Sinatra. Here Comes the Sun radiated optimism at a moment when internal relationships were fraying. For many listeners, this represents Harrison's peak within the Beatles' framework. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun. Perhaps buoyed by that surge of confidence, or simply mindful of promotional etiquette, Harrison spoke frequently about Abbey Road in interviews. He discussed Something, of course, but also touched on one of the album's most divisive tracks, Maxwell's Silver Hammer. The light, darkly comic song later became notorious for its endless rehearsals and its trivial tone, which irritated the others. Harrison, ever diplomatic in public, struck a measured note. Some would hate it, some would love it. He called it fun, a judgment that, in light of private complaints revealed years later, shows his awareness of the bigger picture. Yet there was one Abbey Road track for which Harrison's praise flowed without restraint, because he called it the most beautiful thing the band had ever made. High praise, considering the emotional range the Beatles had traversed, from yearning and self-reflection to cosmic calm. Because originated with Lennon, inspired when he heard Ludwig van Beethoven played on the piano by Yoko Ono, specifically the Moonlight Sonata. Lennon asked that the chord progression be reversed, then built a new song upon it. The result feels classical yet modern, ascetic yet sensual. Lennon himself insisted the lyrics required no elaborate interpretation. Their clarity was the point. Harrison grasped the significance of that fusion. He likened the harmonic structure to Beethoven and was captivated by the 3-part vocal arrangement woven throughout the track. The voices of Lennon, McCartney, and Harrison intertwine, multiplied in the studio until they reflect an almost celestial resonance. This is not raucous cavern club rock and roll, nor the Baroque pop of Sgt. Pepper. It is a distillation, restrained, pristine, quietly transcendent. The weight of Harrison's praise matters precisely because it crosses factional lines. A Lennon composition adorned with McCartney's melodic sensitivity, elevated by Harrison's harmonies, met with unqualified admiration. Amid the mythology of rivalry and friction, Because stands as proof that the Beatles' alchemy endured. Even on the brink of separation, they can still summon a collective beauty unattainable alone. To crown a single Beatles song as the most beautiful is to challenge a vast catalog that shaped generations. Harrison's choice of Because reveals his taste for purity, elegance in simplicity, the meeting of classical structure and rock instrumentation. In the end, the Beatles' closing chapter is not only a tale of conflict, it is also a season of artistic flowering, especially for Harrison. His courage in creating enduring masterpieces and his generosity in recognizing the beauty of his bandmates' work are often lost amid stories of discord. Because, suspended in luminous harmony, reminds us that even in tension, the Beatles could still touch the nearly sublime.